Hello, and welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDoll, and today we're continuing the Allied Grant campaign in Close Combat A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series, we use the missions in the Allied Grant campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry minor tactics at the company level and below. Each episode, we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode, we're in the Eindhoven sector, the Zone area of operations. Our objective is Zone South. It is day 3 of Operation Marketgarden, 0900 hours on 19 September 1944. Zone South. Expect a German counterattack here. Even armour is not out of the question. Do not allow a German force to become established here. Make good use of ditches and scattered buildings. Let's examine our forces. Our surviving forces from the Somme Bridge back in episode 5 have moved forward to this position. They are reinforced by British Army forces from XXX Corps. And tanks. Lots of tanks. I can almost imagine the weary American paratrooper exclaiming, "Boy, are you a sight for sore eyes." The mission briefing told me to expect German armour, so I will want to integrate my own armour with the American paratroop infantry. Airborne BAR teams are the core of the American airborne divisions. They use an automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifles, and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front line, but they should run or hide from tanks. Airborne rifle teams use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Airborne ad hoc rifle teams are low-quality replacement teams. They use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use them to free up higher quality teams for other duties. Historically, the Germans attacked Hell's Highway with Panther tanks. It makes sense they will bring their heavy tanks out. I need to choose my own medium tanks. The Sherman 76 is an upgunned M4A1 Sherman. The M4A3 has a 76mm main gun and two 30 caliber machine guns. Use it to destroy light and medium tanks, infantry and enemy strongholds. The Sherman is the most versatile tank in the Allied arsenal. The M4A1 has a 75mm main gun and two 30 caliber machine guns. Use it to destroy light and medium tanks, infantry and enemy strongholds. What next? Decisions. The 6-pounder anti-tank gun team also contains rifles and grenades. It is best used as an anti-tank weapon, but is also effective against infantry targets. Its high rate of fire makes up for its low armour penetration. Finally, it has to be a Vickers machine gun. Vickers medium machine gun teams also include bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-storey buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry while your units manoeuvre. Yes, it is 19 September 1944, but it feels like Christmas. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to defend Zone South from German counterattack in order to keep the Eindhoven-Nijmegen road open for XXX Corps. We have the remnants of an American paratroop infantry company from the 101st Airborne Division, well supported by 2 tanks, an anti-tank gun and a machine gun from XXX Corps. North is towards the top of the map. This area consists of large open fields and long fields of fire, intersected with streams and hedges constraining movement and creating natural choke points and lines of resistance. And there is a canal to the south. I think this area is loosely based on the area southeast of the Zone Bridge, between Zon and Nederwetten. There is a small canal running east from the Dummel Canal for about 1 kilometre, crossed by small wooden bridges and with a track on the north side. You can also see what the fields of crops look like in this area. Alternatively, the compass rose is the wrong way around, the canal is the Wilhelmina Canal, and the Germans are coming from the east. Have a look and tell me what you think. I have marked 6 areas of interest. Number 1 is a wooden single-storey cottage adjacent to a crossroads and 2 bridges. This provides moderate cover and concealment, but is also an obvious target. The roads run north-south and east-west. Number 2 is a dirt track running north-south with small bridges to adjoining fields. To the east of the track, behind the streams, are hedges that provide some concealment for my forces. Number 3 is an open field with a canal to the south. The crops provide concealment for infantry, but otherwise there are good fields of fire. The field joins adjacent fields over bridges to the north and west, both natural choke points and obvious places to target with anti-armour assets. Number 4 is a series of large fields to the southwest, again with the canal to the south. The open fields offer no tactical advantage, but the rows of crops provide concealment to infantry. The hedges would slow down infantry or tanks trying to cross. A tank or anti-tank gun to the far west could effectively prevent vehicle movement across the bridge and into this area. Number 5 is an area of open fields to the northwest, with a small cottage in the middle. It is surrounded by hedges on 3 sides, limiting movement, with a small bridge to the adjacent field being a natural choke point for vehicle movement and an anti-armour ambush site. Finally, number 6 is an area of open fields directly to my front. The rows of crops offer concealment to infantry, but long lines of fire to armour. Bounded by hedges and canals on 3 sides, this is a natural fire sack. To the southwest, there is a little orchard by the stream, very picturesque, but also a possible concealed approach into the centre of my position. Key terrain on this map are the 4 bridges over the streams. I assess the enemy will seek to overrun my forces in order to counterattack Hell's Highway and interdict traffic on the Eindhoven-Nijmegen road. From the briefing, I'm expecting a mixed force of infantry and armour, possibly Panzer Grenadier and probably supported by Panther tanks. The enemy's most likely course of action is to deploy in the open field to my front and conduct a frontal assault supported by heavy direct fire from tanks and machine guns and indirect fire from mortars. Infantry would crawl through the crops to close with my forces, then assault across the canal. The enemy's most dangerous course of action is a right flanking attack. They will first seek to control the southern field on their right, then swing left to outflank the bridges near the cottage. For the Allies, this is essentially a defensive battle. The Germans have the advantage of choosing where and how to attack. The Allies have a natural defensive line behind the hedges across the stream. I intend to use my Vickers to blunt the infantry attack and my anti-tank gun to blunt the armoured attack. I will then use my tanks in an immediate counterattack. My first course of action is to concentrate my defence on the northeast. I can ignore the field to my south so long as I control the bridge crossing and gap in the hedges. Engagement Area 1 is in the open fields to the north. Engagement Area 2 is the east-west laneway and orchard. Engagement Area 3 is the bridge crossing and gap in the hedges. One Sherman would lurk behind the cottage until the location of enemy tanks is known, then emerge at the best moment to ambush enemy tanks from a flank. The other would fire down the lane as a primary task, with a secondary task of covering the bridge crossing. The anti-tank gun would also fire down the lane, with the cottage shielding it from infantry fire from the north and northwest. First and second platoons would stay behind the hedge, forming a defensive trench line against the German infantry, making this battle reminiscent of a First World War battlefield. The Vickers would take position in the wooden cottage, using it as a wooden bunker from which to fire at any infantry in the fields or advancing down the lane or the stream. This is a solid defensive plan, integrating various assets with overlapping fields of fire. The weakness in this plan is that it would place my 2 Shermans force on force against an unknown number of tanks, with no ability to outflank and no advantage from terrain. If I lose my tanks, the hedge line is indefensible and my infantry would be suppressed, then overrun. My second course of action is to defend on a broader front, but provide better concealment for tanks in close proximity to the forward defences. Engagement Area 1 is in the open fields to the north. Engagement Area 2 is the east-west laneway and orchard. Engagement Area 3 is the bridge and hedges to the south. This is similar to the first course of action. However, 2nd Platoon would stay behind the hedges and stream in the south. The Sherman 76 would take position on the towpath near the canal covering Engagement Area 3 and the bridge. The advantages of this plan are that I'm less likely to be outflanked. Also, the Shermans can better use their mobility to move between the fields and reinforce the northern or southern positions respectively. However, the disadvantage is that it splits my weight of fire. Each platoon with supporting assets will fight its own battle on its own field. But this also forces the Germans to either split their assets or risk being outflanked while advancing across open fields. In both courses of action, I intend to use my tanks as a mobile reserve to conduct an immediate counterattack as soon as I get a fix on the enemy strength and dispositions. So, I have placed them as best I can in concealed positions, behind the cottage and in the corner of a field. Armoured units in the defence. There may occasionally be ground which offers protection and concealment for tanks in close proximity to the forward defences. If there is, tanks may be used effectively in the immediate counterattack and may be able to inflict heavy casualties on the enemy. We have 30 minutes to achieve our objectives. I will now move my troops into position and execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you have identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. Okay, I can't see the tanks. Actually, I can't see any Germans at all. Maybe they stayed at home. Ah, there we go. I can hear them at least. The sound of an MG42 appears to be coming from the field of crops in the north. Corporal Bray's M4A1 Sherman can probably target that area. But the Vickers can't find a target. The Sherman opens up with its main gun and 30 caliber machine gun. The anti-tank gun opens up on German infantry in the orchard. It is a reserve squad. But where are the tanks? Perhaps they're hanging back and letting the infantry conduct reconnaissance by fire before committing to battle.
We're under heavy fire.
That would be smart. The southeastern field is clear of tanks. I decide to send the BAR squad from 2nd Platoon under Corporal Nearguard forward to probe the stream and hedges. Perhaps I can push my defensive line forward. Webb's M4A3 Sherman 76 edges forward in support. Unsurprisingly, German mortars are targeting the anti-tank gun. They go to ground. No point wasting their ammunition in a duel with German reserve infantry.
Move completed.
With no tanks detected in the northern field either, Bray's M4A1 Sherman edges forward. It is trying to improve its firing position on German infantry and maintain observation on the far hedges, but without getting too close to enemy Panzerschrecks.
We're under heavy fire. Move completed.
1st Platoon remains concealed behind the hedges for now. The Vickers and anti-tank gun have both gone to ground.
We're under heavy fire.
2nd Platoon's ad hoc rifle squad joins the probe. Bray's Sherman targets the German reserve squad. I still don't see any German tanks. Perhaps there aren't any, but the possibility they are lurking somewhere constrains my freedom of action.
We're under heavy fire. We're under heavy fire.
2nd Platoon's BAR squad is moving along the stream, not the route I intended. They are now exposed to enemy mortar fire, as well as flanking fire from infantry in the field to the north. The Sherman supports them with machine gun fire. The Germans are immediately suppressed.
We're under heavy fire. position.
Nearguard's BAR squad is making steady progress but still under fire. I order them to assault forward quickly. My first casualty, the ad hoc rifle squad, crawls into an ambush at point-blank range. A German MG42 team in the open, and another casualty. The squad returns fire. Bray's Sherman can't see the machine gun. Nearguard's BAR squad can and joins in. The Sherman edges forward to get a shot. The MG42 is eliminated, but at the cost of 3 members of the ad hoc rifle squad. Understandably, the remaining member has had enough and withdraws.
We're under heavy fire.
2nd Platoon's BAR squad establishes a defensive position in the stream and hedges. They contact a German infantry squad in the fields to the west. They start laying down fire as Webb's Sherman 76 crawls along the towpath. A mortar round finds the anti-tank gun, which is destroyed. 1 dead, the remainder panic and run. Thankfully, the Germans don't appear to have brought tanks to the battle.
Area secured.
To the south, the Sherman 76 crosses and secures the North Bridge. The BAR squad and Sherman tank both spot a Schutzen squad 100 yards out on the edge of the crops. To the north, the Germans remain concealed in the crops. They do not seem too keen to attack, preferring to remain concealed. Time for 1st Platoon to advance and take the fight to the enemy. This was not part of my original plan, as I was expecting to defend against an aggressive assault by infantry and tanks. Instead, I faced a weak infantry attack, and my tanks have conducted an immediate counterattack. My infantry can now advance under cover of the Vickers and machine gun and cannon fire from the Sherman. To the south, 2nd Platoon's 2nd BAR squad also moves forward to the new defensive position.
Move completed.
Hol mich hier raus!
The weight of fire is telling on the Schutzen, who appear to be withdrawing.
Das Blut!
Nearguard decides to advance his BAR squad west and push the Germans back. To the north, the Sturmgrenadier squad in the open fields also appears to be withdrawing in the face of suppressing fire from the M4A1 Sherman. Both squads in 1st Platoon hold position. First, win the firefight, then a cautious advance through the crops.
Team redeployed.
To the south, Webb's M4A3 Sherman brings suppressing fire on the Schutzen. The 2nd BAR squad improves its firing position. I had expected a tank battle. Instead, this is turning into a classic infantry attack. Infantry advancing under cover of machine gun and cannon fire, suppressing the enemy to their front.
Team redeployed. In position.
Das Blut!
Sergeant Burns' rifle squad to the north locates and targets the enemy MG42 squad. This squad must be eliminated. Otherwise, it can bring flanking fire on the BAR squad as they advance.
Air secured.
Lieutenant Kyle's BAR squad secures the objective. Time to deal with the MG42.
Das Blut!
The MG42 is pinned to its front and receiving flanking fire from Kyle's BAR squad and Bray's Sherman. The squad has lost one member, the other two are pinned.
Deckung!
Meanwhile, the Vickers keeps the Sturmgrenadier busy, not getting shot. To the south, Nearguard's BAR squad is less than 30 metres from the German Schutzen. Grenade range. The Sherman joins in, as does Corporal Marx's BAR. The MG42 to the north is down to one member, and he doesn't want to be there.
Under heavy fire. Deckung!
Marx's BAR crawls forward. time to clean up the MG42 nest. Sergeant Burns' team throws smoke grenades. Then they crawl forward to take the pit.
Down!
An HE grenade settles the matter, and the last member of the MG42 squad falls. First platoon continues to advance across the field. To the south, the Schutzen have taken casualties and are down to half strength.
Team redeployed.
Another German reserve squad is moving into the orchard. Bray's Sherman targets them, as does the Vickers. I do not want them outflanking 2nd Platoon. Lieutenant Kyle's BAR squad locates and targets the remaining Sturmgrenadier. The Sherman shifts fire to support as the Americans assault forward. Close quarters, hand-to-hand fighting. The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area, but the Germans are expected to launch a counterattack later. I made Allied progress of 80 against expected progress of 60 by the end of the day. I suffered 5 KIA and lost an anti-tank gun. The enemy lost 21 KIA. The fighting saw a combat infantryman's badge awarded. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the British from 30 Corps. Maddox's anti-tank gun crew lost Lance Bombardier Kelly. Next, the Americans from the 101st Airborne Division. Private Anderson from Lieutenant Karl's BAR squad is awarded the Combat Infantryman's Badge for his actions assaulting the German Sturmgrenadier squad in hand-to-hand combat. PFC Orbison from Niergaard's BAR squad was KIA, and we lost 3 members of the Ad Hoc Rifle squad. Then the Germans from the 107th Panzer Brigade. They lost a Sturmgrenadier squad, 2 MG42 squads, a Schutzen squad, and a reserve squad. They withdrew with an MG42 squad, 2 Schutzen squads, a reserve squad, and a Granatwerfer squad intact. So, what did we learn? I expected a defensive battle and planned for one. I would halt the enemy in front of my position using infantry, machine gun, and anti-tank fire, then conduct an immediate counterattack with the tanks. But the Germans didn't bring tanks and did not even advance towards my positions. Instead, my tanks conducted the immediate counterattack, and the battle quickly turned into a classic infantry assault. Infantry advancing under cover of machine gun and cannon fire, suppressing the enemy to their front, isolating and eliminating one enemy position at a time, then moving on to the next pit. While I did not intend it, this battle illustrates a few maxims. First, your plan should cover the enemy's most likely and most dangerous courses of action. That way, you're ready for something better than what you expected, which is better than being unready for something worse. Second, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Your plan will need to change. Third, be flexible, improvise, adapt, and overcome. So, build your plan around a basic concept, expect that things will change, and be flexible enough to adapt when they do. This is why Dwight Eisenhower once observed that plans are worthless, but planning is everything. And he knew a bit about planning. As it turned out, The only element of my plan that survived contact was my central concept of an immediate counterattack by the tanks. But that was all I needed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.